This is Dave Arnold, your host of Cooking Issues, coming to you live from the heart of Manhattan, Rockefeller Center, New York City, Newsstand Studios. Joined as usual with John behind me. How you doing, John?
Doing great, thanks.
Yeah. Got Joe Hazen rocking the panels. What's up?
Hey, how's everyone doing? Full house.
Good. Over in California, we got some Jackie Molecules and some Nastasia the Hammer Lopez. How you guys doing?
Good.
Yeah. Upper left, we got Quinn. Quinn, what's up?
Hey, I'm good.
And then right today, we have, on her publication day, one of our very favorite friends of the show, Arielle Johnson, is here. Now, how do you want me to announce your book? You want it in Broadway form, or do you want it in, monster truck form?
I think monster truck.
Monster truck form.
Yeah.
Flavorama. Flavorama. Get it today at any bookstore near you, but especially Kitchen Arts and Letters, where Patreon members can get a discount. Why don't you tell them how to do that, John?
Go to patreon.com/cookingissues and sign up for one of the three awesome membership levels that we've got. You get perks at all different levels, and at all of them you will get a discount to our friends at Kitchen Arts and Letters for discounts on great books like Arielle's.
Yeah, so congratulations.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be sharing this moment.
Yeah,
with you.
And now I have the hard copy, not just the
PDF.
ratty little PDF.
Yeah.
And you drew all the pictures in here, right?
I did.
Yeah. So it's better. The hard copy's better. Get the hard copy. Listen, is that just because I'm old, or is it just because hard copy's better?
I mean, for me, if I'm looking for like a specific piece of information, I prefer like digital
search
ebook.
find. Yeah.
But if I'm flipping through something, always prefer a hard copy. So
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe I'm old too.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I won't ask you your age, but 33-year-olds right now, peak millennial. My sister's a peak millennial.
Is she 33?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize she was.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, I think she was born in 1990.
Yeah, that is peak millennial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she's peak
So
millennial.
was my sister, actually.
Yeah. And so, and like a peak millennial, whenever she's pregnant, she eats raw kale and gets food poisoned.
Wow.
Don't eat raw kale.
Yeah, that sounds like
We were having this discussion, yeah.
Bad plan.
I don't think you should eat raw kale ever. I think you should cook it.
I prefer it cooked, definitely.
You know why? Because it tastes better.
Too much cellulose?
Just the people are like, but if you slice it really, really thin.
Yeah.
Why though? You know what's better sliced that way? Cabbage.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Cabbage is delicious. Sliced that way.
Cabbage, delicious.
Yeah.
Kale, tolerable.
Yeah. Well, and then like you cook cabbage, it gets like very soft, whereas like kale does hold up better.
Yeah, you know why? Because that was bred for millennia.
Yeah, to be tough as hell.
To be cooked.
Yeah.
Cabbage, you can boil it, you could eat it, you could kraut it.
Ferment it,
Yeah, which we're going to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, for those of you that were on the fence, like I have to say, Flavorama, James Beard Weasels, take note. You gotta this book. You gotta go get this book. Is the thing about it, because I'm guessing we're going to go back and talk about our normal stuff, but I'm guessing. So the very last chapter of this is a whole kind of mini book on fermentation, and I think you're just kind of pissed that you didn't get wider publication on your very first fermentation book, and so you're just like slipping an extra just in at the end.
Well, and it's nice. It's nice to present fermentation recipes that are exactly what I want and not for somebody else.
Somebody else, yeah. All right, well,
which I'm also fine doing, but these are my the things that I like.
Yeah, all right. So before we do that, let's talk about anything that anyone has done in the intervening. Actually, it's been 2 weeks. Last week we had to cancel, and we'll get we're rescheduling with Solo, right? We're getting okay. We're getting her back on.
It's already booked.
Okay, when for, so people know.
April 16.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, Solo's great.
Yeah.
My husband is actually the editor on that book.
Oh, come on, for real?
Yeah, for real.
That's so funny. That book is large.
It is, yeah.
I have a bone to pick with her on pressure cooking, however.
Okay.
She's anti-pressure cooking.
Interesting.
Yeah. And insults me, not insults me personally, obviously, but like insults, she's like, I'm not against you if you're living that pressure cooker life. I forget whether she uses a Y with it or not. But pressure cookers are good. I think the mistake people make with pressure cookers, is they try to put a standard recipe into a pressure cooker, and then it sucks.
Yeah.
And they're like, why does it suck? She's like, it's great for broth. I'm like, I will have this argument with her. Why am I having this argument with you? And I wait till April. I was all ready to have this argument.
Yeah.
Not an argument, discussion.
Yeah.
Discussion. Anyway. Yeah, it's a great book, though.
Yeah.
You guys are going to be duking it out. How many different categories are there? Is there one for flavor?
Oh, I have no idea. I mean,
At the Beardathon?
not to like project a sense of false humility, but like for me to be able to do anything, I have to like tell myself it will go nowhere and I'll still do it and do a great job and won't care if nothing happens, because otherwise my like insane perfectionism will like completely paralyze me. So I haven't even thought about that, actually.
Yeah, that's wise. That's wise.
Just gotta like learn how to trick yourself.
The other thing is that like anything else, like you're like, it's, you have to get pushed by the right people who like your editor has to push that crap out.
I suppose so, yeah.
Yeah, like, it's such a trash can. Everything is a trash can. Like, all awards ceremonies are filth.
Extremely political.
Yeah, yeah.
I've never been involved with
the
this
filth.
one, but
you know what I mean? It's like, well, you've been at restaurants who play that 50 best game.
Oh, yeah, sure.
It's trash.
Sure.
I mean, not trash. Hey, no offense, 50 best people. I'm just saying, it's like, it's not, let's say, completely, whatever. You know what I mean? It's like,
No, there's a sense of like wanting to.
it's not bought and paid
agree
for.
about what's
That's
cool.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
but like
going too far. But
I mean, but any country or city can pay to host the world's 50 best awards, and then all the world's 50 best voters are in your city eating in your city's restaurants.
right.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or, and you can know who those people are and you can reach out to them.
Right.
Or like, with IACP or James Beard, it's like you have to get kind of submitted. So you have to get pushed by your editor or
Yeah.
by yourself or have it on, on yourself. And like, it's better to be well known. And it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Obviously, I'm not going to say like, oh, I don't care about awards, because everyone loves people praising them. But like,
I care about them. I don't trust them.
yeah, I mean, like, I think most of the good decisions in my life have come from choosing like interesting over prestitious. So like, just going to kind of keep.
Those are all the bad choices in
Going
my
that
life.
way. Oh,
I'm just
okay.
kidding. I'm just messing with you. All right. So, so this week you came out with a book.
I did.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Anyone else do anything interesting this week? Or did you have any cooking things this week? Were you able to cook it all this week?
No, I did very little cooking.
Yeah, makes
this
sense.
week.
I wouldn't if I were you either.
My dad was in town this weekend,
Oh, yeah?
so we were like out a lot.
Out and about?
Yeah.
You going to a place good?
Well, we went to Superiority Burger.
Oh,
which,
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, did I miss that the event?
Oh, yeah, it's happening tomorrow.
Was I supposed to make drinks?
You don't have to, but Empirical's bringing stuff.
Oh.
So, but you should come.
All right,
Be at the party. I mean, you can make drinks if you want.
But I don't need to work.
No, you don't need to work.
All right. I was thinking
No, sorry. I
was biking over here. I'm like, am I working?
I didn't follow up. And
Yeah. All right, fine, whatever.
But I guess this is airing after it happens.
It's airing now if you're a Patreon.
Okay, so if you're a Patreon and in New York and in town tomorrow, we're having a release party at Superiority Burger.
Hey, another Patreon perk. You can only hear about this if you're on the Patreon. So
Yeah.
eat it, non-Patreon people. And we have a caller? No, not. But Patreon people can also call in, and I think someone is going to call in because they said they were going to. 917-410-1507. That's 917-410-1507. All right, Quinn, I know you got some stuff specifically that's also related to the book. What do you got?
Yeah, well, I got a lot of stuff. I'll save some of it for another week, but, I don't want to monopolize time. One thing I did do is I made a pressure cooker toasted cream
Nice.
and then centrifuged it into butter.
Ooh.
And what centrifuge did you use, Quinn?
Of course, the Spindle 2.0, which should be arriving in North America in about a week.
Nice. Yeah, actually, it's like landing the 16th and then clearing a couple days after that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think the ones in Asia are already in the mail, I think.
So the interesting thing, sorry to get back to the butter.
Back to the butter. Forget the business. Back to the butter. All right, go for it.
The brown butter flavor in the butter itself is, on the milder side, because obviously the flavor is mostly from the proteins, but then you get a really intense, toasted buttermilk, which is interesting.
Anytime someone says buttermilk on its own like that, I have the Wham songs in my head with the word buttermilk instead of jitterbug. The buttermilk, like that. And then the whole song's playing in my head and will be for the rest of the...
And now it is for all of us, too.
Yeah.
Although, I mean, back to the different flavors in the buttermilk and butter, I would posit that, you're creating all of these new aroma molecules in the Maillard reaction, and some of them are more non-polar, more like greasy, than others. So you're getting like
We prefer greasy.
greasy, oleophilic.
Yeah.
So any of the ones that are like a bit more cool with water are gonna like dissolve in higher concentrations in the buttermilk, and then the ones that only like fat will be like in the butter. So you'll get this like different flavor expression in both. It's the same when you're distilling rose essential oil. You'll like distill it with steam, and they'll collect like water, and the essential oil will float on top. Then the water is like, that's rose water. So every bit of the rose smell that's like more water soluble will like dissolve into that. So
And you should
get,
throw
like,
that away because it's trash.
well, it smells. It's a
I'm
different
kidding.
flavor than rose
I'm
essential oil.
kidding.
Yeah.
I'm just
So, partitioning is what we would call that.
What's the worst? What's the worst flower water?
I mean, I only know rose and orange, really.
Which one do you? I mean, I don't.
I prefer orange. But yeah.
All right. Quinn, did you add any base to that? Any baking soda up in that?
Yeah, actually, the actual cream toasting procedure is based off of Ideas in Food blog, Aki and Alex Talbot. So I do a 0.5% baking soda in the cream. And previously, I've just toasted the cream and then cultured it, which is also really delicious.
Ooh.
But this one I went straight from pressure cooker, just chill overnight. And then I did culture the buttermilk afterward, and I made biscuits, which were also really good.
Delicious.
Cultured it after. I have it, like, I don't know, calling it toasted just bothers me. You know what I'm saying? But let me ask you this.
Browned, call it browned. Yeah.
Yeah, brown, yeah. Did you neutralize it afterwards or no?
No, 'cause I've had a little bit of, like, separately cultured buttermilk already, so I just mixed them.
Before
and then let it hang out.
you centrifuged it?
No, after.
Okay, so Dr. Johnson, one of the things I'm curious about is the effect. And Quinn, was your yield lower than normal? Because the cooking the cream is messing with. I guess it's not a protein phenomenon, though. It's a fat phenomenon in butter, so it shouldn't really matter what you do to the. It's not like whipped cream where you need both to work, right?
Yeah. Well, so I know when you melt butter, it's hard. And then chill it, it doesn't retain the like texture of butter because it's like a water in
Right, you
oil
got rid of the water.
emulsion.
Yeah.
But I think, I mean, presumably, if it worked for Quinn, then that's the empirical.
Yeah, I mean,
empiricism trumps theory. Right?
Yeah, I mean, because I know that there's always like for a long time when I was younger, people were like, you can't heat cream up and then whip it again. You can.
Yeah.
Done it so many times. You know what I
Really?
mean? But you just have to let it sit for a long time in the fridge, and then you can whip it. I've never done a yield test.
I mean, I think the important part is that the fats are cold because they need to be like crystallized to hold the whipped cream structure.
Yeah, actually, that's been a lot of my problem with cultured butter is not adequately chilling it after the culture step before the churning and then I have issues when I'm doing the stuff I'm doing. The other thing I've said on the air a bunch of times is that I really like this centrifuge in scare quotes butter. I don't believe it's actually butter. I think it's just like triple cream.
Oh, okay. So you're like taking out a lot of the water, but not enough for it to count as.
Yeah,
butter.
I don't believe it's inverting. I believe that it is still an oil and water emulsion. I've never looked at it under a microscope, or whether, in other words, like it's a solid, right? But I wonder whether it's more like a gel, so that there's a continuous water phase,
Like an oleo gel.
Yeah, like a continuous water phase sitch, right? Because it just doesn't look like an inverted.
And is it like spreadable?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you ever go to England and get like they have many more kinds of cream there than we have. So I mean, like they have clotted cream, and you can buy like that one little kind of clotted cream here in the jar. They have like a lot of kinds of clotted cream, but also like pouring cream, which is like cream that is the texture of like a thick sauce.
Yeah.
So maybe you're approaching.
Well, yeah,
that.
I mean, much beyond that.
The kind of no man's land between like 40% fat and like 80%.
So
fat.
We have a caller. I'm going to put him on the air, but I'm going to finish this.
Okay.
I had an issue with that. First of all, as a chauvinist, like I'm loath to say that the British are better than us at things, but their cream game is so crazy that when I was in London last, I asked for cream to make a cream syrup, and American heavy cream, you can make a 50-50 syrup with it, and it comes out, it's like 66 bricks water-based based on the fat, there it just turns to sludge because the fat content is so much higher. I had to milk it up. I was like, oh, you and your good cream, you jerks. Caller, you're on the air.
Oh, this is perfect time. I was going to call and talk about butter. This is Jonathan from Minneapolis, Mass Man, otherwise you call Mass.
Ah, all right.
From the Patreon group. And I wanted to say thanks for answering my question the other week about kitchen as a laboratory recommendations. And Arielle, I had no idea that you wrote that section on the stretchy ice cream. That was really cool to read.
Thank you. Yeah, that was like my first research paper thing. So glad you liked it.
Yeah. Yeah. And to go straight into the butter, too. So I've been trying to make cultured butter, and I've been ending up with more cheesy flavors than buttery flavors lately. Like I want more of the diacetyl, nicer flavor, and end up with stuff that tastes like cheese at the end of it. And I know Dave talked about using at one point creme fraiche instead of buttermilk to culture it, because I've been using buttermilk. I wanted to know, is there anything that you would recommend? Should I culture at different temperatures? Got any advice?
I would probably suggest culturing it for like less time and or a cooler temperature. If you're getting cheesy notes, that's probably from like lipolysis. So like butyric acid is getting freed from the milk fats, and that's what smells cheesy. So like a certain amount of that is like inherent in any kind of cultured dairy, but I think if you run it colder, you should get less of that.
We also used to do it only 18 hours. We would do it like 18 hours on the counter.
And also, in your written question, you mentioned you add salt. I think you might want to skip that.
Oh, okay. So add salt. I've been adding salt at the beginning because it's easy to dissolve it in the water phase rather than trying to knead salt into my butter afterwards.
Yeah, but you add it after the culture.
Yeah, add it after fermentation before churning.
Yeah, that definitely is smarter.
Although, I don't know, but if you add it before you churn it...
It ruins the buttermilk.
Does it get concentrated in the buttermilk and not in the butter?
Well, in other words, to have the concentration that you want in the butter...
You have to oversalt
You have to oversalt the buttermilk.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Partitioning, but other direction.
Yeah.
Right. Different fractioning than I want. Okay.
Well, I don't know how much you need it afterwards. I'll say this one thing, though. When you make your own butter, when you're making butter commercially, professionally, right, you have to knead the heck out of it because the buttermilk is one of the prime vectors for spoilage in the butter, right?
Yeah.
And people want a high fat content in their butter when they're paying for it. So typical American butter is like 82% fat, I think, roughly around, right?
Yeah, thereabouts. Yeah.
And plus gras. Let's say plus gras with a French accent.
Plus gras.
Yeah, that's how your boy Eric Repair, he used to recommend. He's like, I'm in no way affiliated with them, but like they are like a higher fat butter that you can get here, right? When you're making your own butter to put on bread and not to cook with, don't need it that much.
Yeah.
Keep the buttermilk in, because what is buttermilk?
Delicious. Sour and yeah. At Noma, we used to have, with the bread service, we'd get this butter from this guy named the Butter Viking in Patrick Johansson. And he'd like hardly rinse it at all, so it had like tons and tons of buttermilk left in it. So it didn't last very long, but it was like incredibly delicious.
Yeah, like the stuff that we used to make, it wasn't even nearly as good the next day.
Yeah.
But but that day, first of all, I don't want like the Butter Viking. Did I ever tell you the story when one of the first food service jobs I ever had was a place called the White Horse Tavern. And when I was a kid,
I've heard about this.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I used to go there, and I could never eat there until I worked there because the chef pretended when I was a small child, but junior high, that he made the hamburger patties in his armpit. And so I had the image of him actually down in the basement, like putting a ball of meat in his armpit and going to make the patty. And I didn't want to eat a burger there anymore from that moment forward because my imagination is too much.
Fair.
So when you say Butter Viking, I'm imagining a very sweaty, hairy man putting a butter thing into his armpit and going to like form the butter things and then making it. So now I don't want Butter Viking stuff.
No, he doesn't do it that way. Although we did do an experiment once at the restaurant with him where like we would like dip the back of our hand into like raw cream and then see what cultured. So he had like all the girls do it, all the boys do it.
Okay.
The girls' butter was
really
much tastier. Yeah.
Wait, so an N of what?
Oh, just that was like a one-off.
Okay. All right. A non-repeatable. All right. Well, so Math Man, should we'll do your cinnamon roll off the air? Or do you want, do you have any real quick? All right.
No, I figured I'll ask you out too. So I'm working on trying to work towards a great cinnamon roll recipe. And I use a blend of Saigon cinnamon and Vietnamese cinnamons. And I was wondering, in order to get like a really good flavor coming out, should I bloom the cinnamons in the butter instead of just sprinkling it on top with the cinnamon sugar mixture and rolling it up?